Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us on All Access here.
Hey, thanks, Nate. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Appreciate you guys once again. We've got a lot to discuss, but of course, for those of you at home that might not be familiar, could you just tell us real quick, what is it that your company does, Brett?
Yeah, sure. So GPO Plus, we're a product development, distribution, and manufacturing company. We work with specialty retailers that we define as your gas stations, your convenience stores, your bodegas, smoke shops, vape shops. And what we do is we find products or we create our own products that are very well suited for that industry. That's one side. On the other side, we're out to really disrupt a 100-plus-year-old industry with the distribution industry. And we've introduced a new service called DSD, which is direct-to-store delivery, which is a white glove service that we provide for all these specialty retailers. And so our company is broken up into 4 different segments. We have products, we have marketing, we have branding, and then distribution. So I'm going to kick over to you real quick on the products and the distribution. I'll take the rest.
Sure. So on the product side, obviously when we see opportunities, we like to develop our own products because it creates more margin for us and, better benefit for the company overall and our shareholders. So we've developed certain products in the, male enhancement space. We do things like an herbal alternative to Adderall called Herbal that we're very proud of, that we have in lots and lots of stores throughout the country. And then we're looking at more and more. Most of the products we're looking at are kind of in that hemp-derived space, products that, again, you'd find in a convenience store, you'd find in a specialty retailer like a CBD shop or a gas station or a smoke shop. And, that to us is very exciting. So a lot of it's speed to market, a lot of it's knowing the regulations and seeing things like the Farm Bill and, what's developing there and acting accordingly and producing the right product for the right customer. But on the distribution side, which is, truly more exciting and how we kind of differentiate ourselves is, we're not looking to put in a 1 million square foot, warehouse in the center of the country. What we do is we create mini hubs. And, we have a distribution company that, we bought the assets for that's based in Lubbock, Texas, right? And you wouldn't think, Lubbock, Texas, but, within a 250-mile radius of Lubbock, Texas, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of stores that are underserved. And so what we try to do is provide the best service. So we're the only choice. Or we're the only logical choice. A lot of these stores could order product, of course, in the mail, and they could wait for it. But what we do is we have our vans and our drivers who are trained on all the products go into the stores. They set the product correctly. They do the merchandising, and they talk to the store owners. So we get great intel and great data. What's selling, what's not selling, what could we do better? And, we really try to set ourselves apart with what, as Brett said, that white glove service. And we build a mini hub. That mini hub then services, about a 200-mile radius. And then we add another mini hub. And when that mini hub services our anchor, clients or anchor partners, like Yesway and Allsups as an example, they're a great partner of ours. Once we establish that, then we actually start to fill in the sales team to start catering to those specialty retailers that are in that same, let's say, geography or within that same radius. And then it's rinse and repeat. And so as we scale, we're adding, I think, 3 new hubs in the next 45 days, which is pretty exciting for us. And we'll just continue to do that and expand across the country.
And so that's distribution, that's our products. Then on the sales side, as Joe was saying, once we get that infrastructure in place, we have an outside sales team that we deploy that go to all the other, smoke shops, vape shops, gas stations, bodegas, convenience stores. And, Joe found an interesting fact. Did you know that 60% of all the gas stations and convenience stores are independently owned nationwide? We always see the big brands, your Circle K and your 7-Eleven, but there's so many mom and pops that we can go into. So once we get that sales team deployed the distribution team deployed to service our anchor companies, then we send in the outside sales reps. And then we have a whole another model, which is a direct-to-consumer model, which is really web-driven. So it's our online technologies with GPOX Labs, one of our divisions. We developed an amazing whiz-bang technology called MSRP, which allows us to deploy hundreds of websites based off the same headless commerce database. So without getting too much into the weeds, we have a lot of websites that we develop around specific product categories and specific products to go for that long-tail organic SEO strategy. So that's kind of a high-level overview.
I appreciate the insight. And yeah, I've got family members that own gas stations, and I know how important that relationship is with the vendors to make hey, this isn't selling. Absolutely, we definitely should. But let's, DJ Khalid during 2020 had a saying, business is booming. And it seems like clearly yours is as well, because you went ahead and announced a 320% increase quarter over quarter. I know we just kind of talked about what might be behind that success, but give us a little bit more insight on not just what drove that big increase, but also how it can continue driving for quarters to come.
Sure. So just to give you a little background, so Q4 of last year, we were in like an acquisitive growth mode. We acquired a couple companies, a couple different, product lines. Q1, we looked at this, all these assets we created, we put the puzzle together, and then Q2 is when we started executing. And so I think the biggest attribute to that, huge growth is we did a 100-store pilot program with our new white glove service, the direct-to-store delivery. And what we did is we looked at the numbers from, the quarter previous. We were averaging $580 per sale, or per sales per month per store on average. After we introduced the white glove service, we increased that from 580 to over 2,100 per store. And that's with the first pilot program of 100 stores. And as Joe mentioned, we're launching an additional 116 stores in the next 3 hubs. And you want to talk about the future growth?
Yeah, I mean, the future growth also, and when I was talking about product, I neglected to mention one that was kind of big, because we do some licensed products as well. And we're very, very excited. We've signed a deal with Yuenglings, if you know the brewery, oldest brewery in the United States. And they've basically tasked us with bringing cannabinoid products to market. Things such as gummies and vape pens and things like that that'll be hemp derived and 100% legal product.
And can I hop in on that
Please
real quick?
do.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, Yuenglings is the oldest brewery in the U.S. And during Prohibition, they pivoted. They had to survive. They got into dairy, and they've been making ice cream for over 100 years. So I'm from upstate New York, so we all know the Yuenglings ice cream real well. And so all of our flavor profiles are based on the iconic Yuenglings ice cream flavors.
Yeah, so we will have cherry vanilla as an example,
Right.
tea berry, some of the really great flavors that they've produced. But going back to what Brett said, as we scale this business and these hubs, we're focused in Texas, New Mexico, but we're launching states really, really quickly. And this, again, depending on the states, there's different product sets that we're going to be deploying. But, we just launched Iowa, which was, one of our mini hubs that has been very successful. It's been, I think, 6 weeks since we launched Iowa. Yeah. And again, we'll have further mini hubs throughout Texas. Is pretty big. So, we can't do it with just one. And then, we'll continue to expand. Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Wyoming are all kind of on the map for the next, I would say, 6 months. But the most important ones would be, South Texas, Dallas, and then we'll be launching, for Austin, and then Albuquerque.
Right.
So to give us really good coverage in, the western part of New Mexico.
Now, I know you guys talked about the white glove service. I kind of want to get into the margins a little bit as well, because as you increase, the services and what you do for the consumer, your customers, your B2Bs, I assume margins are kind of impacted on that as well. Any insight on how that's looking, on if your margins were hurt, but then the volume you were doing was increased, therefore it's okay? Or what are we looking at on that end?
Well, yeah, I think that it definitely maps out to where it is okay, or more than okay. Adding our own products helps, obviously. So when we have, Herbal, our Adderall alternative, it's a very high margin product because we make it. And, that helps. But beyond that, when you walk into a convenience store, oftentimes, you've got an owner operator and they're busy. They have 1,000, maybe 1,500 SKUs, as you already know. Yeah. And keeping those in stock, if it's up to them, they're probably going to focus on beer and tobacco. And then everything else is kind of tertiary to that. So when our driver goes in and he sees that, hey, you've sold out of, let's say a nicotine vape or something like that, I have a tablet with some homegrown, software that we've developed that our driver can literally say, okay, here, you need 5 of these, sign off. It bills their credit card, and, who's better than us? The product gets there. Oftentimes the driver has the product already, in the van. Right. And so they just walk back out to the van, walk in and say, hey, awesome. You need this. We've also forged a great partnership with a nicotine vape company, a brand called Mr. Vapor, and that's been tremendous. It's been very successful so far. And, we've done a lot of, to answer your question, though, getting back to the margins themselves, we think that being in stock is absolutely more important than, the few points difference if we were just shipping something in. We've noticed a lot of the broadline distributors, they'll go in and they drop a pallet off in front of the store. And what could be worse than that? So now I've got an employee in the store who's probably unhappy the pallet came. Now I've got to go take that pallet, disassemble it, do all the merchandising myself. And then when I get around to it, reorder what's out of stock. Or I've got GPO who rolls in, the guy's got his Distro Plus shirt on and he's saying, hey, Mr. Store Owner, you need this, this, and this. Oh, and by the way, I've got this, which is new. And making that suggestive, sale, which more than makes up for, maybe that squeeze on the margin to provide that service.
Yeah, now as I mentioned, I've kind of seen those conversations of, hey, we've got this new thing coming. Do you want to try it? I see cherries selling, so here's another cherry product. And it's all about kind of linking those dots as well. Let's talk about this. So it's interesting because I believe you got a display near the cashier where it says something along the lines of Feel Good Shop.
Plus.
What is Feel Good Shop Plus? Thank you for that.
Yep.
What is that?
Yes. Well, the Feel Good Shop Plus it's great because a lot of these products are age restricted. Right. And so you can't necessarily leave them in the same aisle as the candy because then, it could be something that a child picks up. So you don't want that. So also these items are higher dollar. So to reduce shrink, we actually have, it's basically a clear plastic or, Lexan display that's got multiple shelves. It's only accessible through the back. And we load this up with the product. We're making a suggestion, to the retailer that these are the products you should carry. And, we work with them to develop that set. But that is we actually have multiple cubes, in some stores. And that's where you'll find, your Delta 8 gummies or whatever it may be is going to be in that cube. The nice thing is also to reduce shrink, we have ways of securing those cubes to the counter. We've worked with the stores to make sure that they're, on camera, so that we make sure that no one's reaching, back behind to grab something without being filmed at least. And, the idea really is to be able to deploy quickly a whole solution set for a retailer. So a new retailer, an independent, let's say gas station in, the middle of New Mexico, wants to try out our products, and we can deliver a full solution set that's secure, safe, and kind of meets those requirements of the retailer.
And can I add one thing to that?
Please.
Sure. So in addition to the counter space we have, which is amazing because we're right by the register, and of course that attributes to more revenue and more sales. In some of our anchor stores, we also have a full shelf, a 4 foot, or in some cases a 3 foot shelf in the HBA section. The HBA section is your health and beauty accessories. So if you've ever been to a 7-Eleven or Circle K and you need like the 2-pack of Tylenol PM or Pepto-Bismol, in that section we have the top shelf that we're currently merchandising now with more products that really diversify us from that recreational hemp category.
Well, I appreciate the insights and, very familiar with some of the products and, of course, the processes that you mentioned as well. We do have about less than 30 seconds here, but anything else that you want our viewers to know about before we hop off?
Yeah, absolutely. If I would encourage everyone to go to gpoplus.com/IR and sign up for our investor portal. But if you go under our news section, we did a really good shareholder update. And we just recently started, sharing our news story to the investment community. This is, as a matter of fact, our first real interview was with you guys in your audience to tell your community about our business model. But no, I think we're in explosive growth right now. I think that we've done a good job keeping the float tight, our number of outstanding shares tight. Most of those shares are in the hands of officers, directors, and key investors. And I think we've got a really good launch pad and a strong foundation that we've laid to really experience the next phase of growth for GPOX.
Awesome. Appreciate the insight, Sherman. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you.